Right now, there's this quiet battle being fought over what is, without a doubt, the most powerful technology of our time: artificial intelligence. And believe me, how this fight ends, it's going to affect, well, everything. So let's break it all down.
It all really comes down to one central question, which sounds simple, but the answer is anything but. Who gets to control it? Because let's be real, whoever holds the keys to AI isn't just going to define the next big thing in tech. They're going to shape our collective future. I mean, the stakes? They really couldn't be any higher.
So this whole fight, it basically boils down to two completely different visions for the future. In one corner, you've got what we can call the AI oligarchy, a handful of super powerful companies building these closed-off, proprietary walled gardens. And in the other corner, you've got the open source vanguard, this global collaborative movement that's fighting to make sure this incredible technology belongs to everyone. It's literally David versus Goliath, but for the digital age.
Okay, so let's start with Goliath. Because to really get what the open source rebellion is all about, you first have to understand the empire they're rebelling against, the reign of the walled garden.
And the scale of this empire, wow, it's just staggering. I mean, just look at ChatGPT. We're talking 700 million weekly active users. It literally became a verb, right? People say, I'll just ChatGPT it. Through some absolutely brilliant marketing and just insane viral growth, it became synonymous with AI for most people, perfectly setting the stage for this centralized, top-down market. And that brings us right to their core strategy, the walled garden. What is that? Well, think of it like a closed ecosystem where one single company controls everything: the platform, the apps, and yeah, most importantly, the data. Sure, it's slick, it's convenient, but it's all designed for one single purpose: to build and protect a monopoly. But, and this is a big but, that convenience comes at a pretty steep price. First up, there's a total lack of transparency. We have basically no idea how these black box models actually work under the hood. Then you get hit with vendor lock-in, which makes your entire business completely dependent on their platform and their pricing whims. And yeah, it might seem cheap to start, but those costs, they absolutely explode as you scale. All of this just concentrates an immense amount of power into the hands of a very, very small number of companies.
But right when this empire seemed totally untouchable, a challenger appeared, and from a pretty unexpected place. So it's time to meet David, the Open Vanguard.
You can trace the start of this whole movement back to one single event, something a lot of people are now calling the llama effect. See, when Meta released its llama model, that was the moment. That was when state-of-the-art AI finally broke free from its corporate cage and was basically handed over to the entire global developer community. And the progress since then? It has been absolutely explosive. Seriously. Llama 1 dropped in early 2023, and it proved that these smaller models could really pack a punch. Just a few months later, Llama 2 goes commercial, then boom, Llama 3 scales up massively. And now we're hearing Llama 4 is on the horizon with get this, a 10 million token context window. That's just mind-boggling. This isn't just slow improvement. This is a full-on exponential leap forward. And all this speed forces us to a pretty stunning conclusion. The open source community is not just playing catch-up anymore. That's old news. In a lot of key areas, these open models are now rivaling, and in some cases, actually exceeding their closed source competitors. The game has totally changed. Which brings us to the new rules of the AI game. See, the battle isn't just about who has the biggest, baddest model anymore. It's now about who has the most flexibility, the most control, and the best efficiency. And this is where the Open Vanguard has some serious superpowers. Okay, superpower number 1 is something called fine-tuning. And this is so critical, you guys. It means you can take a general, off-the-shelf model and train it on your specific data. You can turn a generalist into a world-class specialist for exactly what you need it to do. That's a level of customization that a closed API, well, it just can't touch. Next up, their second superpower, local inference. What's that? It means you can forget about sending your sensitive data to some random third-party server in the cloud. With open source, you run the AI on your own machines, on your own hardware. Your data never, ever leaves your control. For anyone who cares about privacy and security, and we all should, this is an absolute game changer. And look, getting started with this stuff is way more accessible than you might think. Seriously, with the right kind of graphics card and some really friendly tools that have popped up, you can now download and run a cutting-edge AI model with just a single line of code.
The barrier to entry here is just dropping like a rock. It's happening fast.
But I know what you're thinking. What about the cost? Okay, let's talk about the economics, because this is huge. Let's say you need to handle 1 million requests a day. A commercial API might run you, what, $1,300? But a self-hosted open source model, you're looking at around $160. That's not a typo. That is a nearly 90% cost reduction. Once you start to scale up, the economic argument for open source isn't just strong, it's pretty much undeniable.
So, all of this brings us to the final act. Because this isn't just some nerdy technical debate, right? This is about the kind of future that we actually want to build. It's about laying the foundation for a truly open horizon.
And a huge piece of that future really comes down to one word: trust. Think about it. Closed models are black boxes. It's almost impossible to audit them or even really understand why they do what they do. Open models, on the other hand, can be inspected. They can be scrutinized by the entire community. And that kind of transparency, it's not just some nice-to-have feature. It is the only way we can build AI that is genuinely accountable and trustworthy. So who wins this fight in the end? David or Goliath? Well, the reality is it's probably not a winner-take-all kind of thing. The future, most likely, is hybrid. The smartest companies out there aren't going to choose one side or the other. They're going to strategically use the best of both worlds.
And here's what that actually looks like in the real world. You might use a big closed API for your public-facing chatbot, where guaranteed uptime is absolutely critical. But for analyzing your own sensitive internal data, you're definitely going to use a self-hosted open source model to keep that private. And for a super specialized coding tool, a fine-tuned open model is a no-brainer. It gives you amazing customization and incredible cost savings. It's all about using the right tool for the right job.
So, what's your role in all this? Well, if you're a developer, it's simple. Get your hands dirty. Explore these models. Use them. Contribute back to them. If you're part of an organization, it is time to move beyond just playing around and start strategically adopting open source AI. And for everybody else, your voice really matters. Get engaged in the conversation about how we build this future responsibly.
Because ultimately, the path forward here is defined by a really simple but really powerful idea. The future of AI, it's not something that we should just be renting from a handful of gatekeepers. It is something that we must all have a hand in building, and we have to do it together.